Happy Friday, campers. I knew I was going to have to talk about this after the relaunch of the YouTube channel, and the more people that interact with our stuff, the more opinions we're going to have about comic books and writers and artists and styles and everything like that. But what I want to talk about now is political discourse in comic books and how I would like the comment threads to go on the YouTube page, because I'm not going to stand for anybody aggressive on the comment threads. I'll just delete it. I have no problem doing that. And I won't have, if anybody's aggressive towards another commenter. I hate to say it, but this is my space, and it's going to be a safe space for people that want to talk about comic books. So if you read one of my reviews or see one of my reviews and you're just like, dude, this sucks, blah, 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 and you're talking about other commenters, or you're talking about the artists, or you're talking about the writers in a non-constructive format, just slinging insults, those are just going to get deleted. And I know that there's a lot of hot topics out there that get people really riled up, and we can have a conversation about that. And I want to have a conversation with that, but I want us to have a civil conversation about stuff like that. And let's talk about political discourse or political commentary in comic books. Every writer comes from a background. Every writer comes from his or her or their own personal perspective, and they bring to the comic book those perspectives. And we may not agree with everybody's point of view. Right now, society is more fractured than it ever has been before. And it really stinks, because I think comic books are amazing, and it's a point where we can all come together as a community and we can really just enjoy the medium. But there are political opinions right now that are more hurtful than others. People are going to talk about this in comic books because that's what you're supposed to be doing in comic books. A comic book or artwork is a reflection of the times. Movies are a reflection of the times. 80s action films, the machismo action films were basically the United States licking their wounds after Vietnam. You can look at all these different eras of film and comic books and artwork, and you can be like, hey, what was going on politically at that time? Or what was going on socially at that time? And this will be, the artwork or whatever you want to talk about will be a reflection of that time. I really thought that there was going to be more shock art coming out during the Trump era. There was a lot of shock art during the Reagan administration. So art is a reflection of the times. And so writing is a reflection of the times. You had all these different zombie films and zombie books out there. Why was everybody so pessimistic about society surviving? I've talked about this a lot. I really like it when people are in Star Trek mode and they're boldly going where no one has gone before. Books like The Martian or the film like The Martian, where, human ingenuity, human drive, human spirit, rallies together and breaks through and creates something new and innovative. That's where I would like to be. I don't want to be on the other side where we're in the zombie land and it's everybody for themselves and humans just suck. I don't really want to be like that. I don't want to be there. I'd rather be in the Star Trek camp where we're trying to explore universes and meet different life forms and create a dialogue with them and try to bring, peace, whatever we want to do. I don't know all my Star Trek-isms, so I don't want to ruin it for everybody. If you can't see that these things are happening and that comic books are a reflection of things that are happening in the real world, then we should just have a conversation and just look at examples. Film is very easy to dissect and be like, oh, because sometimes film is very lazy. Who's the bad guy? It's the Middle East. And so all the bad guys are the Middle Eastern guys. And we're still doing that. There is so it's really from from an American point of view, from the United States point of view, like if you look at cinema is a very emotional reflection of the sign of the times. That's what I talked about with Trump and Russia. I was like, when did Russia become the good guys? Didn't you see all the films in the 80s? Like that's what Russia is right there. It's not. I mean, they're just human beings too. But I mean, like, there's a lot of bad people in the world, and the Russians aren't the good guys. But the Russian people are good people. The government, bad guys. There's a lot of propaganda out there when it comes to like film. So now we're talking about comic books and how comic books are a reflection of the times. X-Men is the prime example. Stan Lee wanted to create a Malcolm X character in Magneto and a Martin Luther King character in Professor X. And then the X-Men were about racial injustice and being persecuted. Like anybody who doesn't fit in can be, and anybody who doesn't fit in the social norms and is persecuted because of those differences can fit in the mutant world. That's the whole point of the mutants. It's like, that's the whole reason why like the LGBTQ community kind of embraces the X-Men and the mutant books, because it's, oh, this is how I feel. This is how I've been treated. Like, you don't have to jump through major loops to see what's going on and how these things represent real world people. I mean, like, this is the whole reason why Into the Spider-Verse was such an amazing film, is because anybody can be Spider-Man. Anybody. And I was definitely in the category of like, oh man, the more Spider-Man that you create, it waters down the main character. But no, everybody deserves a Spider-Man. Everybody deserves their own Spider-Man, and you can have as many Spider-Mans as you want, because it's what Spider-Man means and what Spider-Man brings to the table. Like, everybody getting a Spider-Man and everybody having some form of like inspiration from the Spider-Man universe isn't creating a whole bunch of people that don't give a shit about people. It's creating a community of people that have empathy and care and will like, hey, let's try to make things work, because this is a hero that inspires me, and I am going to try to be a reflection of that hero. I mean, that's the whole point of like the Punisher irony, that police and like military people and like machismo gun people are into like the Punisher, because the Punisher probably doesn't like those people at all. Like, people are just not understanding what is written. They're just like, oh, that's a cool symbol to dude with guns. Yeah, Punisher. But they don't actually know what the meaning behind the character is. So now the hot topic now is Tom King writing a politically charged story with Wonder Woman. Holy shit. Oh my God. Wonder Woman. And the people are getting upset are not people who've read Wonder Woman. It's all the people that have been getting upset about what they've been getting upset about lately. I hate to say it, but Wonder Woman has been going through social and political issues she's been going through for a long time, because she's Wonder Woman. There's that woman aspect to it. And I usually don't try to speak for other people, but I mean, I'm sure she's been given some shit from some dude villains, and nobody's been like, oh my God, I can't believe they're talking about misogyny and all this other stuff. And this is where I like start, I don't have all the answers for the world, but like, nobody's been saying that Wonder Woman's a man-bashing comic book, but I'm almost positive that there's probably been some story arcs or some eras where they're like, yeah, we're just going to take it to men right there. We're just going to beat the shit out of them. Like, and do it. And it's fine. It's fine. It really is fine that even if she does do it and they're like, oh man, she's man bashing there. Like, it's Wonder Woman, dude. Like, what do you think she's going to be doing? What do you think? Who do you think are the powerful dudes that are villains? Most of them are dudes. Like, I mean, like, it's, if you want to watch like Wonder Woman fighting a female villain, and they're all scantily clad. That's a whole nother conversation for comic books. And that was, the epitome of the 90s of like how we want to draw women in comic books. But there's so many different elements of society in comics, and like how we've evolved or how we talk about things and how things have changed. And it's bonkers that people get so riled up about this, and then they become keyboard warriors and they start attacking other people online. We're like, we're just trying to enjoy comic books. I don't know what's going on here, but like, who is this guy trying to, all I'm asking is that we have a civil conversation about it. And I'm going to bring up one comment thread right here, because I feel like this is what jumped the gun for me to have this kind of conversation. Boogie Town Gaming 3707. Dude, this book sucks. The story doesn't make a lick of sense. Like, first, we're all going to deport all the Amazons because of one woman. And also, I like how they get offended when they shot the one Amazon woman down from trying to kill a Fed. Haha, so brain dead and lazy. I thought Tom King could get better, but then I started reading his Batman run, and I'll tell you what, I have never put down a Batman book so fast. No wonder DC... Oh, there's more. There's a read more tab. No wonder DC and Marvel are dying off. If only they could get back to superhero stories and not just using a book and characters to tell a political view that's been shared thousands of times by everyone else. Okay, there's a lot of talking points in here. First, dude, this book sucks. That comments, that's not how I want to talk about comic books. You can talk like if Boogie Town Gaming 3705 was like, hey man, I read Wonder Woman, and I was like, you know what? This plot thread doesn't work. I feel like it's contrived and forced. Now, that's a sentence we can have a conversation about. Why do you feel like it's contrived or forced? Well, I felt the Amazonian, the crime happened in Wonder Woman, and then we jumped through a million hoops to get to where there was a secret force hunting down Amazonians in the government. And that felt like it was very rushed through. And I was like, okay, that could be a valid point, that this part of the book felt rushed. X, Y's, and Z's. Like, okay, that makes sense. I read the book, it felt rushed, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that's what you could say. But when you talk about political ideologies, then it becomes a conversation of like, I don't think that would happen in real life. And I'd be like, well, I mean, you can see where there's examples where this has kind of happened before. I mean, like World War II happened, and we were putting the American Japanese people in camps, just like the Nazis were doing with the Jews. We weren't, I'm sure there were some bad things that happened in those camps, but we rounded up all the Japanese people and American citizens and put them in camps during World War II. These are facts. To where you think that the Americans wouldn't do something like this, we're not the nicest people in the world. But again, I'm not the person to talk about specific political events or specific social issues. That's not where I am. I want to talk about comic books, and I want to talk about how to critique comic books well and go from there. We could have a real conversation about this part of the comic book felt rushed. It didn't work for me. And Tom would be like, okay, that would, or a writer would be like, okay, that makes sense. What happened in the pages of the comic book that made it feel rushed? And then what's the next part of Boogie Down Gaming? And also, I like how they get offended when they shot the one Amazon woman down from trying to kill feds. Okay. This is a political, so brain dead and lazy. I'm trying to figure out how to word this here. Because one, I apologize for Boogie Down Gaming if I'm calling you out. We're talking about a comic book about superheroes being unrealistic. And this is where we have to have a real conversation about, like, okay, if you have a man that can fly, that's aliens, and there's aliens and there's all sorts of other shit going on and magic and all the imagination in the world that is in the DC universe and all the chaos that happens where there, and you have like a Lex Luthor character who's always trying to kill Superman and Metropolis and Gotham, and all the different cities have blown up and been rebuilt all because of superheroes, and all these different things have happened in the world, in the DC universe. Extreme things have happened in this world because it's make-believe. Hate to say it's make-believe. It's a story. I don't understand how it is a reach that society isn't going to jump the gun when one Amazonian kills somebody. Because in the past 70 years or 100 years of DC Comics, they've destroyed cities left and right. Superheroes have. So for the American government to turn on superheroes, it's not a huge leap of faith. Okay, so like you got that going on there. But furthermore, it's a comic book. Like when people are like, "Oh, it's unrealistic," I'm like, dude, I don't think the science behind the Flash makes any sense to me, or the science behind, I don't know how people, landing or all these other things. Like there's so many unrealistic things in comic books. So when people start pulling out the political elements or the social elements of being like, that's unrealistic, I'm like, that's where you draw the line on the unrealisticness. That stuff just cracks me up. But again, you could have I'm trying to break down this comment to where we can actually like have a conversation about it. And I don't know who was upset about the feds killing it, but I do know that they made Amazon bullets that would like rip through skin and like kill immediately. And I could tell from this person, I don't know if they have kids or not, but like for me, I would do anything for my kids. And I would definitely take down some federal agents if they were trying to take my kids away from me for no right reason. Like I feel like there would definitely be a fight between me and federal agents. I'm just saying, like or there's going to be a ruckus. There's definitely going to be a ruckus if somebody's trying to take my kids away from me. I mean, like that's really what could happen. And have we not seen times where people have gotten upset about something happening to them and the law enforcement has taken things too far? I mean, like, I'm just saying. I mean, like, just saying, like, these things that happen. This is a reflection of the times. I thought Tom King could get better. Better at what? Better at writing? Better at not being political? But then I started reading his Batman run. Did he start on the first issue? Like, how far did he read? And I tell you what, I've never put down a Batman book so fast. So you read one issue of Batman and put it down, and you didn't even finish the issue. I don't know if we can have a conversation about that, because I don't really think, because you can read a book that you don't like and then talk about it. Again, these are the things that didn't work in Tom King's Batman run. X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. This is what I would have done differently. Blah, 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 blah. No wonder DC and Marvel are dying off. Well, I don't think they're dying off. I mean, they're still around, and their IPs make lots of money. So, again, it's a big corporation that owns them. So Disney and whatever. We got it. Can somebody comment and tell me what Warner Brothers is called these days as a big corporation? And so the final comment, if they could get back to superhero stories, not just using a book and character, and I'm assuming it's to tell a political view that's been shared 1,000 times by everyone else. So this person has read 1,000 comic books at a minimum of 1,000 comic books. And all of those comic books have had the same political view. And this only pertains to Marvel and DC. I don't know. I feel like I've read some I've read some Dan Slott books. I don't feel like there's been huge political point of views in there. I feel like I've read I really don't. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. And I know that people feel like this. This is a statement that people have said before. I mean, but I read Guardians of the Galaxy and Groot was going, Groot Fall was going crazy. I don't think there was any political elements in there. But again, you might not feel the political elements because you might not associate, Drax as somebody who has a learning disability. Or you might not, associate Rocket Raccoon with an abuse survivor. Because it's a raccoon and it's an alien. Like, I don't actually see those elements going on in there because I just look at the pretty pictures. But the social commentary in Guardians of the Galaxy could be extreme. I mean, see the latest film. And it's all about social commentary. It's all about like having empathy and understanding that everybody has the same experiences in life. And man, I thought this was going to be a short conversation with you guys, but I'm at like 23 minutes. So if you've made it this far, comment on this topic. Like, comment on, how do you critique a comic book and what you look at and what makes you excited or not excited about a comic book, and like tell me like what works and what doesn't work in your comic book buying habits. And like, do you believe that comic books are a reflection of the times? And again, we are in a very divided time right now. So it makes sense that people have extreme comments like this because we're really divided. And when somebody sees something that they don't like, that this is the type of thing that happens. And it definitely I feel like these comments are very one-sided. And I also feel like if you've made it this far and you're a Wonder Woman fan who's read Wonder Woman for a very, very long time, let me know if you're upset with Tom King's story. You're like, man, I've been reading Wonder Woman for 20 years and this book doesn't make any sense. And let's see. Let's leave it at like, you've read Wonder Woman. You've read at least 50 issues of Wonder Woman. That would make you an expert on Wonder Woman. If you've read 50 issues of Wonder Woman, please comment on whether or not you like or dislike Tom King's Wonder Woman. And I apologize for not including the rest of the creative team when I say Tom King's Wonder Woman. But we're talking specifically about Tom King's story. That's why I said Tom King's Wonder Woman. And I apologize to the creative team. Don't want to start another kerfuffle. But again, if you've read a minimum of 50 issues of Wonder Woman, let me know what you think of the latest issue. I'm Matt Sardo, and you guys have a great weekend.